How's it going? It's Mitchell J, the Scaredy Cat Guide, once again talking some crypto. So Bitcoin is hanging in there strong. It's putting up a fight. As we talked about, we essentially reclaimed this uptrend line. Rallied, test, and then pushed through. And now today's candle. Not so much. Came right back down, sitting on that trend line. So really, hopefully we're consolidating and we can stay above 7,800. So the reality is if someone entered essentially when we established back into this trend, so to speak, your downside should really be this consolidation. So bottom line is like we need to hold 7,800. So for anyone that might have initiated a new position, hypothetically, of course, you are looking at 7,800 probably as your downside out because if we break below there, then there's a good chance we're going to go back down to 7,400. Obviously, upside is still 9K-ish, this prior top. That is our first upside target, and then hopefully we have our sights set on the 200-day moving average up at 9,700. So upside again, 9K roughly, as I talked about in my video the other day. That's the upside target. Downside, like I said, any new position, I'm looking to get out at 7,500, which would essentially be a close below this little consolidation, and then expose us to more downside. So we'll see what happens. Bitcoin is apparently fighting here. Made a move, consolidated, made a move, and now trying to sell off, but hasn't sold off hard. So hopefully it's just a little breather before we rally off this trend line and make a run at 9K. Let's take a look at Ethereum real quick. Ethereum, made its nice run. It got above, this support resistance area and didn't quite get up to these prior highs at, 560 to about 590. So, I'm not doing anything. A new position would have happened here and, essentially just hold until you get to the price target. Um, so yeah, just it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, so to speak. So kind of just waiting for it to get to price levels where I can make new decisions. There's no good risk reward right now. Like if someone bought at 506, your downside is 405. So you're basically risking 100 points, and what's your upside? Your upside is max like 580. So you're risking just over 100 to make 80. That doesn't make sense. That is how you lose money in the long run. So it's all about the simple principles that guide our investment decisions. Even if they're long-term positions you're taking on, why not buy at good prices? Litecoin really hasn't rallied the way Ethereum and Bitcoin did over the last few days. At the same time, it didn't come down as much. Um, so I was just looking at this before the video and noticed that it's basically in this huge triangle pattern. So, it basically has made the support here 110 downward to about 100. And, it's continually making lower highs. And even here, it hasn't made a higher high. It had this little top and it's about right there. So now the question is, can it make a higher high and therefore bust out of this triangle pattern to the upside and then make a run at the moving average? Like 150 would basically be the next upside target on Litecoin. Your downside right now is again this support, around 110. So also, would I enter a new position here as a trade? No. My upside is what? 20 points. My downside is what? 20 points. 1 to 1, not good enough. Need 2 to 1 or better because the bottom line is you are going to be right. If you're right half the time, you're actually doing very well in terms of success on transactions. So that's why you need 2 to 1 or better. As far as a long-term position goes, obviously not the worst price. You have a base here at 110. So, if you get in and you're holding for the long term, you're looking at upsides of more, 225, 230. And then obviously, you have the ultimate high if you think it's going to get back there. So in that case, you have a good risk reward scenario in terms of a long term, if you're doing essentially, 350 or bust because, you're essentially looking to make close to 250, 230, whatever it is, and your downside's 110. So, in that scenario, you got better than 2 to 1 risk reward. But that's obviously much more broad based and basic, so to speak. But there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, it's not about trading every day, trading every week, or every month. It's about using this information, using these principles to find good entries and exits for your positions, regardless of the time frame you personally have. So that's a decision you got to make for yourself. But anyway, just wanted to point out some price points and talk about the action here in crypto. As you can see, basically the big three are kind of just consolidating sideways again. I mean, even though we're down, they're not essentially lower. All we really did was give back yesterday's gain. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, as the week progresses, ideally we want to see Bitcoin essentially stay above 8K. Like we want to stay above 8K and maintain this and get back above this, and get well above this trend line and get back into this long-term uptrend. So yeah, that's it for now. I'll drop a link in the show notes as always for the Scaredy Cat Guide to Knowing What the Heck Bitcoin is ebook, and that also will give you plenty of resources on wallets and exchanges, and also a link to the Scaredy Cat crypto class, which teaches you how to do what I'm doing. You won't need me. Well, maybe a little bit. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next video.